Hey, this is Nicky G and welcome to Better Commander. Listen, there's a ton of commander cards in this set, and it looks to be living up to the Eldraine name with a clutch of powerful cards. Let's take a look at these virtues, brother. Oh man, what's the next great henge? We're gonna see, brother, but in the meantime, we endeavor to answer the question, are any of these virtues any good, right? I like this cycle. It's interesting, so we'll do a quick video talking about them, giving them a rank, you know what I'm saying? But first, make sure you mop all the buttons there at the bottom of this video. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe for all the yucks. Like the dang video because that's how you support the channel, brother. Now, this is the first time we've seen the adventure card type, the instant and sorceries that are like little adventures that people go on enchantments as opposed to creatures. Are they any good? Does the art evoke the virtue? Does it evoke an adventure? Is there intelligent life on Mars? These are all questions we're going to answer today. Now listen, these are all mythics, so will we be sad when we crack them open? That's the real question, dude. Let's dive into it. The Virtue of Courage, 3 red for an enchantment. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may exile that many cards from the top of your library. You may play those cards this turn. Pretty good. Embereth Ablaze is the adventure part. 1 and a red for an instant adventure. This deals 2 damage to any target. Alright man, this guy's kind of sneaking across the scary bridge, right? And that's the Virtue of Courage, brother. The Embereth Ablaze thing is kind of a whatever piece of the card. You know, 2 damage to any target can be incredibly useful. You clear out a little nuisance creature or something like that. The decks you're going to want to use this in are packing ways to deal damage to opponents, your burn decks, right? In a deck built for burn damage or ping damage from a creature source like Browlin or Geisen Starn Kellermorph, or damage popped around by Toralf, this can be an incredible card advantage engine, dude. Red burn decks tend to snowball with big spells like Mana Geyser and Jeska's Will. I'll put this solidly in the B tier for build around the blood-curdling bridge, dude. Virtue of Knowledge is up next. 4 and a blue for an enchantment. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. It also has Vantress Visions as its adventure. 1 and a blue for an instant. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Alright, listen up, man. This is an instant staple for your Blink Enter the Battlefield decks, right? The instant Vantress Visions is pretty unique. Plays right into the enchantment. They work great together and are both really good. 5 mana is kind of a lot. It's 1 more than Panharmonicon, but Panharmonicon only works for artifacts and creatures. This hits everything, and the set has a ton of enchantments, so that's something to consider. This is not as good as, say, Elesh Norn though, because she has that static ability that really screws up your opponents. But if you're running Elesh Norn and you're in white and blue, there really is no reason not to run this as well. Look at this guy, dude, in the foreground. He's chasing knowledge, brother, in a library. He should be out chasing girls, but he's got to get that smooth brain some wrinkles, brother. This is an A for academic autonomy. And how about the Virtue of Loyalty? 3 white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Untap those creatures. Ardenvale Fealty is the adventure portion. 1 and a white for an instant. Create a 2/2 white and night creature token with vigilance. Well, you know what? A 2/2 with vigilance at instant speed for 2 isn't bad. I don't know if it does enough in Commander, but it's kind of neat. You can slap out a surprise blocker or something like that. The Virtue of Loyalty is pretty good. Untapping your attackers is cool, but what if your commander has a tap ability? Well, that's pretty decent as well. This is better for go-wide decks, but I'm not sure if it does enough in Commander when you've got Cathar's Crusade out there making all those counters. I think there are some niche applications in decks that are doubling counters, you know, Hardened Scale, Selesnya type decks, all that good stuff. But listen, nothing says loyalty like a guy walking towards 2 burning rings, brother. I rate this a C for cut out the procrastination. Go get some wedding rings and marry your girl, my friend. Or you know what, it's 2023, dude, you do whatever you want, marry a dang bird if you want. So next up we got Virtue of Persistence. 5 black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Alright, then you got Lochthwain Scorn. 1 and a black for a sorcery adventure. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. Ooh, dang, I do like this art. Check this out. This virtue is persistence, brother. The sweet frame treatment's pretty abstract. Look at those buildings in the background, dude. Pretty sinister. But the little figure in the foreground sure does look dogged, I will say that. Now listen, there's a really crazy card called Sheoldred the Whispering One. That's 7 mana. It's about $7. Comes with a 6/6 Swamp Walk body and has some sweet sacrifice on your opponent's turns. But you know what? It doesn't hit your opponent's graveyard. The virtue does though. I'm a little torn on this. It's expensive and slow, and the adventure is a mediocre sorcery speed removal spell. This seems like a D for Drop the Quest for the Tower, Roland of Gilead. Now the virtue of strength, you know I love this, dude. Drink your protein shakes, get out there and do some bench presses, do some squat thrusts, brother. 5 green for an enchantment. If you tap a basic land for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana. Instead, we also have Garenberg Growth, 1 green mana for a sorcery adventure. Return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Now this card would have been an A if it was just a guy squatting a horse, dude. That is the virtue of strength. Now one can't help but compare this to Zendikar Resurgence and Nyxbloom Ancient. Neither this virtue nor the Tree Buddy will draw you cards like Zendikar Resurgence, so forget that. But triple mana is great, right? But read it again though, brother. It says basic land. That's kind of doo-doo, unless you're in mono green or really into basics, I guess. The strength on Nyxbloom Ancient is in the fact that it hits your mana dorks and soul rings and rocks and all that stuff. But listen, man, I actually like this limitation. It means it doesn't go in absolutely any deck playing green. This can be really good in mono green enchantment decks, I guess. I like it, but as a very niche D+ card. D is for don't forget that it's just basic lands, dude. In the right decks, this can be a very solid role player. The adventure sorcery is pretty cheap, just cast that if you have extra green mana. Get back a creature or land, you know, but you gotta have creatures that you're putting in the graveyard to begin with, or lands that you're putting in there. And if you're using fetch lands, you're probably not running a ton of basics in a mono green deck. That restriction makes it even more niche, I guess. The restrictions on this kind of really keep it down. Whoa, there it is, the masterpiece virtue tier list. Once I make a tier list, it's set in stone, brother. No amount of arguing can ever change my mind, even if I'm objectively wrong. If somebody tries to change my mind, they say, no, I'm not gonna do it. But hey, listen, feel free to tell me what kind of an idiot I am in the comments below. Very interesting cycle. So do you think there's any instant staples here? You know, maybe Virtue of Knowledge. I think that's a really good card. But you know, old Nikki G practices the virtue of brevity. And I find a lot of virtue in taking naps, and I feel one coming on, brother. So we got more Eldraine to come. I'm diving deep into the powerful commander cards, but I wanted to hit the mythic cycle first. That's me for today, bros. Enjoy your Sundays. It's Nikki G from Better Commander signing off.